Trivium, What the Dead Men Say. Go! Anyways, this would be... Number 8, I think. Yeah, I think 8. We're gonna go with that. Sorry. But yeah, What Dead Men Say, 8th studio album. What I know is it is the follow-up to The Sin in the Sentence. Well, they do seem to leave off from that record in what they were doing sonically, and I'm sorry for the rain. Not that I didn't necessarily need it, given I do mowing jobs on the side. But anyways, I do believe with this studio album, we have the start of this record, which the music video kind of combines elements of... Actually, it's their 9th. Especially more, I believe more so. Given that they sort of hinted at it, given the intro is literally 9 in Roman numeral. I mean, come on, it was like right there, just to make you know, make sure you did know. All right. So, nice new album. Second time with producer Josh Wilbur, and with drummer Alex Bent, who has apparently been in some grindcore bands. Y'all probably have known I ain't very true cult, unless your band, unless you happen to be, which, in fact, given the fact that most people who are true cult hate Death Heaven, and as far as I'm concerned, they could go themselves. So, they don't, Death Heaven, heck, I listened to New Bermuda, and I actually almost like that a little bit more than the newer one, though the newer one is what I wish I would have gotten out of Sunbather. But anyways, we're not talking about Death Heaven, we're talking about Trivium. But anyway, but it's the second one with them. Alex Bent, who, despite the, I'm going to say this right now, my many listens, I've been holding off on this just to get the physical copy, because I knew I had it in order, and it seems I'm not going to be able to get physical copies for a while, so I got to find an alternate means and probably do what I tried to do a little bit on my best of the year thing. Tell me rain for this one, so that's what we're going to have to do. 10 tracks. If there's a bonus one, it's mostly a bunch of acoustics stuff, and it's only in Japan. And it's just mostly the more radio-friendly ones in Bleed Into Me and Scattering the Ashes of all songs. Which, to a degree, at least lyrically, for the most part, it seems these tracks do a little bit more, I guess, which allows it to be more, but the problem is, I wish that a certain someone that I know through both sides of the community, these music that I'm a part of in music and with movies, more specifically within the Showdown, having talked to me in a recent conversation I've made with him, and he is basically, having been a drummer himself, he'll know who this is by what I just said, but I won't say his name for reasons, as out of some essence of respect, I guess. You'll know that the drums, I didn't notice it, like at all. And most of the time, of course, most of the time I'm mowing, and I'm using, or at least I was using, come here, this particular headset when I was listening to it, which has seen better days. That's why I got a better one back here somewhere. And I don't know if I would have liked to listen to it, because I tried listening to Lamb of God with these, and for some reason the instrumentation went in and out for when the vocals wanted to pop out. So it seems I had to use EQ and stuff for these, and these are apparently seemingly cheaper-ish, I think. I think I need to get they're both work tunes, but the difference is this is not the same one as how this one is. And I like the way the setup is in terms of the way the output was of these in comparison to these. I don't know if there's a difference in decibel, because these were 24. I'm guessing these might have been higher or something, maybe 25. I don't know. But overall, I also had to listen to them that way. And when I was at least listening to them, usually I do have to have them on high because I got to drown out the mower anyway. But for the most part, I've enjoyed them. And of course, they were my last concert I ever seen prior to quarantine anyway, and in a long time anyhow. So. And this shirt here and this shirt here, and of which also has the line from, I think that is the first line that is of Shogun, because I think it was also around the time of the tour. For the first in the sentence, they were also kind of promoting, or at least this was the year after, so that one, the year was more Shogun specific. And I do think they've aged a lot better and more into fine wine, or at least vocally, because I think that's the one thing. I mean, it works fine in Ascendancy, but it seems that since Crusade, it just doesn't work as well as what they wound up putting out since Silence in the Snow. Or at least maybe their album before that was Vengeance Falls. Which I like the production on it. I get that some people might have an issue with that one, but it's more something in the production of that record that I really enjoyed. A lot of. Personally, something with Draymond's production, I guess, worked well for them there, I guess, with that record. Especially when it came to that cover they did of the REM song that I never thought I needed that cover of. I mean, TV does good covers. Anyways, it's on his own channel. Check that out. And it sucks even more because I missed out, because that was the time where Lucas of Rock was doing a photo job for that and had photos, literally, because I seen him post them on his thing literally the day after the one in Sargent at the Pops concert, which apparently is next to a bunch of strip clubs that aren't apparently much of anything compared to, from what I hear, they're kind of whatever so compared to some other places. Some other place I know from a buddy. Yeah, but anyways, we're not talking about that. But yes, the Trivium record, I feel like they've done it again. I really feel like they've done it again. But with the exception of the drums, production, snare, even though still it's more obvious given the physical copy. Digital to physical is different apparently, and that's where it seems to show. Hello, Thor. Did you enjoy it? But anyways, the record does deal in a lot of things. The Scatter and the Hell. In fact, when its weakest song, technically speaking, is lyrically stronger than the weakest song on the last record, I'd say, at least writing-wise, it's an improvement. The guitar tone, I think they've maintained a little bit more, because that record was essentially trying to culminate elements. Hell, they did a lot more in the Ascendancy part, especially given the fact that The Defiance is essentially a kind of a reference towards Defiance, the track Defiance, I think, off of Ascendancy. And I guess supposedly a pseudo-sequel? Though the first notice of the tracks that I heard was Catastrophist, it seems like they've been getting more and more better. It seems Alex brings something to the table, more so or less than what he's ever done before. And I think one of these tracks also was wound up on the recent Mortal Kombat game. I think it is Amongst the Shadows and the Stones. I mean, that's heavy enough that it could work. Especially given, your lines of bloodied corpses, broken bones revealed, a throne of clashes crushed, our nightmares sealed amongst the shadows and the stones. Just bringing it vocally on his screams, which he had to hold off on because of that with when it came to Silence in the Snow. And it wasn't them completely necessarily at their best, but given that was technically my first given exposure towards Trivium as an album as a whole, at least. Because I've heard their stuff back in the days, and I think I barely heard anything after the stuff they might have done from Crusade. Kind of understandable. It does... it's 80s Metallica light, but it's better 80s to be light on the Metallica in the 80s than anything past that, really. So, take with that. So, and if that's considered your worst, you're fine. You're fine. And that's still the case here. And I think I want to say these past couple records have been their best. Yeah, and whatnot, so. And, I mean, the opening has been great with the introduction track of 9, which I think in the music video they do show that leading into the actual track of What the Dead Men Say, which you did hear a glimpse of, and I'm hoping I don't get copyrighted for it, because it did reach 10-second mark by the time I shut it off. Fingers crossed. If not, just screw it. I ain't making money off of it anyway. I just hope that it does actually go to the damn band and not to the damn labels. Or at least the label's nice enough and actually gives it to them. For fuck's sake. But anyways, I think the album cover's not a bad choice. I think it's way more metal in comparison to their last record, the record's album cover. But definitely, I mean, I can't tell what specific heart it is, and if it's supposedly being hung up. It seems it's a clearly heart that's been around a while, that's decayed, and seems, I don't know if it's smoke or is it supposed to be a web. I think it's a web given the way that the music, given what the Mud Shadows and the Stones lyric the video kind of shows it hanging around, so I'm guessing it's really a web. So from what it seems, even though it could come off like it's smoke. But anyways, yeah, as far as the album itself, I mean, in terms of just, bands that have come out of the 2000s melodic metalcore scene, melodic metalcore, third to fourth wave of thrash, they deliver. Thrash that sort of seeps in within the more, that is, or at least that certain wave that was also alongside the melodic metalcore scene, influenced by that of the mellow death scene of the bands like of the more Clayman era, even bands that led to groups like My Darkest Hours or stuff like that, and Your Killswitch Engages and so on and so forth. But yes, this album clearly kicks all the ass for what it is, despite the drum issue, which pops out a lot more, even with the EQ and everything. It seems to hit a lot more, and the guitar tones are pretty good, given that they started using Fishman influences, and as far as a lot of things, including your domestic violence, just certain things involving the war, things about war, and just, current state of things even within the U.S., including the points of, when it comes to sickness onto you, more dealing with in mental sickness, or at least the lack thereof of mental health, to some extent, but more in the sense of it leading to possible things and what has been dealing with in our lives, why we have possibly so many sociopathic people out there, or just psychopaths in general. Kind of the same thing, really. Scattered in the Ashes kind of hits harder for me, given my own current state of things. Despite it being considered weak sauce, it slightly hits me in a similar kind, now even more so, given my certain things I've dealt with personally that I'm going to not disclose here, that I have within certain parts of communities. Your face betrays your words, and those words gave way to hurt. The ground between us grows like wounds that never show, but more so in the lyrics of the verses. But the distance couldn't mend, because time ran out instead. The ground between us grows like wounds that never show. Of father and son, 2 lives now come undone. Of father and son, too late was gone. Even though the rest of the chorus does kind of fall off compared to the pre-chorus part with so tonight I'm scattered in the ashes being repetitive a little bit. About the only thing, but even though the other stuff like your face reveals your pain, seconds lost, I take the blame, the cloud light cuts the night, your ashes come to life. What's left in my hand, will I ever understand? The cold light cuts the night, your ashes come to life. What's lost we'll never know, what's lost we'll never know. And the dual vocals, you can, at least when it comes to Coriolis back, or at least more so, I think actually Paolo's particular bass lines come in through here, a little bit more through here and bleed into me. Instead, it's the radio-friendly ones, not, the bigger ones, heavier ones. Not that they don't have their moments where they come out, but they do just seem to come across, given between the guitars and the drums, as being just there to fill the low end. But he at least gets a chance to shine more in comparison to previous records, so there's that. Plus, it's probably a good, nice little screw you to Phil Labante's little incident from their Twitter wars in between albums here and there. And even though he, at least that, given the circumstances with that and the loss of their guitarist there, at least that, they tried at least to kind of have some semblance of their old stuff spewed in here, even if they were still kind of doing the same thing they were doing before. Which is why I never bothered to comment on it with that, because I'm not as huge a fan of that band. Anyway, so even though he was probably wrong in the fact of Matt and the rest of the band being stronger members, which is why it was nice that he was able to show and that he could do more here, which is awesome. It's nice. Everyone's improved in some way, even though the production could say otherwise on the drums. And I feel bad for Alex Bent on that, because he brings it, and I've seen him do damn well when he played at the Sargent show. So, and he fits in. He brings something more to the table and brought a sense of energy into the rest of the band that hasn't been shown before, and made them want to do more. And I love that. He brought out something better for them, and still continues to do so. And I hope he still keeps doing so every other record he's involved with this band. And he's gonna have to train any other drummer to fill in his void. The way this is going. Unless the original drummer can pull off this kind of stuff, I doubt it, but I could be wrong, but that's just me. I'm pleb at this. With this band sometimes. I tell you. But and Corey and Matt's leads are great. The moments are great. I'm not entirely sure what Corey uses for pickups compared to the signature Fish influences that he started putting in his Epiphone, that Matt starts putting in his Epiphones, but Catastrophist was a great choice. I mean, the drum, like the fills and everything, a bit, despite the snare itself, which the only other time I had an issue hearing about that was from somebody, was when it came to Tesseract or something. Up until the last record, but the rest of the music just wasn't hitting the same way, production-wise anyway. Even with that being a plus, but anyways, with this album, I mean, Defiant was great, really that, and the last one I think was a great closer to do with the ones that leave behind, even trying to leave on a positive note, even using more major chords than anything else. In a way that seemed to be kind of reminiscent of what he's done on one of the songs off of because Matt did a thing with Happy Metal, and I think he took some of that to heart when it come to using the minor chords, with using more major chords, popping out a lot more, or at least some more major types of scaling, at least. Actually, it would be scaling as opposed to chords. Maybe some chords here and there. But when it came to Ones We Leave Behind, and I love those a lot on this record, overall, despite all this, it has been one of the better records I've listened to this year, and they've still brought it to a T, despite even their weakest songs even having something there, you know? Bending Arc to Fear is pretty good. They've brought it again, finally, and they've started to pick up things. They finally found what works for them within the times they had to experiment since Shogun. Up until then, the vocal deliveries they've had with Silence in the Snow, some of him, and like I said, the most, with the Defiant being close to Defiance in reference towards Ascendancy and sounding like Ascendancy. And so fans that missed Ascendancy days will love that record. And I do think that between that and Shogun has been technically up to the point of the last two records have been their best, and I'm starting to kind of, despite this issue, which is what might be enough to kind of keep it from that. Even that, I don't know. I might even still consider it better, despite it. Because as far as I'm concerned, as long as when the worst thing I can still remember is St. Anger drums. You're still fine, production-wise, I guess. So overall, I have to. I even want to say Masterclass. I want to now. Despite what I got to hear from this physical copy. Even though everything else that I've listened to, like what I've shown, has said otherwise. But anyways, what did you think? What did you all think of this record? I know you've all already talked about it when it came out. I've had my time to do it, and I finally get a chance to. And everything else, the next videos will be mostly classics, and then eventually I will have a catch-up on some of the albums I have listened to that have come out within this year. Up to the point of that video, at the very least, and hopefully I'll have some sort of visual you can go off of to know what it looks like. At least I'll have to do what I did for my. But anyways, keep doing what you do, Matt. That was the oh yeah, now I know. It was the Until the World Goes Cold one that they did, that Matt collaborated with the Happy Metal channel on. That's the one. That's where the reminiscence of the chords that they did use. I'm trying to think the mode, though. I know it's a little bit sort of a form of major scaling, but it's also possibly certain modes that are definitely more lenient towards the more sitar-y sort of things that given that Matt's heritage, as he has stated, within being part Asian. I don't know if it's Taiwan, and I guess he's part Chinese or Taiwanese or something of that nature. And it's Asian of some sort. I'm sorry, man. I'm not. God, sometimes I do hate cultural appropriation because it doesn't help me figure shit out. Puts me down, not makes me figure shit out. Come on. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I am so sorry. But overall, I enjoyed this, and I can't wait to. I'd love to see you guys again. But anyways, I'm dizzy. Anyways, what you guys think? Leave a comment below. Let me know of this album. You've all already said your thoughts when it came out, I'm sure. And it's a lot of things that are relatable here. But whether it be through certain things like how we vote, which is what What's Behind seem to be, and it seems those that have been unfortunately become the more less fortunate, or wind up being left on the streets. And if those people are suffering even more with the COVID situation, because because stuff like this can't bother them, and they'd probably rather die in their sleep from something like this anyway than have to live the life they do live. Which sometimes it's whether or not it's being by choice, I don't know, but it sucks. But regardless, what did you think of the record? Leave a comment below, let me know. Rock that like button with thrust if you must. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you actually do get my videos, since it seems that that's less likely the case because the algorithm with YouTube lately has been shitting on me. Because usually the stuff that would work like this, that if I had done it at that time, it barely gets seen. anyways. And I would love for it to help. And you know, I've been doing this for years, and I'm not even had 100 subscribers. And it'd be nice to at least have that by the end of this year. At least something nice comes out of this year, aside from this record and Code Orange and so on and so forth. But anyways, as always, guys, keep it random. Also, like and follow my Facebook page. Link in the description below. As always, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rockin'. Here at Rockin' Movies with Tyler. I'm Tyler, and take care, y'all.